Hello, Kevin and Charlie here today with Leading Edge Financial Planning. And Kevin, we've got big news. Came out yesterday about the Voluntary Separation Package and the ExTO. What are we going to call it today?
I like to call it the
ExTO,
ExTO, extended time off.
Yes.
So ExTO.
That's right, ExTO. So this is the Southwest specific programs. Other airlines are going to come out. Delta is going to come out soon with something, as well as American's already come out with some things as well. But today we're going to talk about the Southwest specific things. What the heck are they? We're going to do a high level review.
Right.
Who should be thinking about this? And then what are some things, some gotchas, and maybe how to plan for this. I think that's something we can offer, Kevin, is our opinion on what we've seen before, what our software shows and calculates. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, these are our opinions. And Charlie, first thing that happened, I think, for us is when we saw the benefits that were offered or the packages that were offered, I should say that we both were like, wow, these are pretty good.
Yeah.
So first thing you do is you get really excited and say, wow, there's a great opportunity here to either take some extended time off or if you want to maybe separate from employment and get paid for 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's always the first thing. But then the second thing that comes, and we just talked to someone, and there's sometimes some anxiety because now you have to make a decision. And how is this going to affect the rest of your life? And that's really, I think, what we're going to try to do.
It is scary. And we got to know, we're going to, by the time this period is over, we have about 30 days, 30, 45 days before you have to make a decision. We have a lot to learn still.
Absolutely.
But we'd have some high level information. Firstly, and like you said, Kevin, it's definitely exceeded my expectations. Sometimes my expectations are a little low. But if you want to voluntarily separate, just give a quick high level overview. It's 67 trips for pay per month and for 5 years or until 65, whichever comes first. So obviously you're 63 years old. That's 2 years. But then, healthcare is going to be paid for 5 years. That's a big one, or going to be provided, I should say, for 5 years. The other program, and Kevin, I forgot to mention travel benefits.
That's right.
Travel benefits 4 years for if that's important to people. The other program, extended time off, which we're going to be calling ExTO, 55 trips a month. In terms of there's a 6-month minimum, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year option.
Right.
With you are in this, Kevin, this one, you are an employee. So everything else is the same. Healthcare, non-elective contribution, B fund in the airline lingo there. Still profit sharing if there's ever any. You will be a participant there. Continued healthcare, continued pass privileges. That's the overarching big picture.
Yeah. So the first thing I would mention, Charlie, is if you're somebody that's considering separating from the company, what is your current desires as far as how much you were flying? How many trips were you doing per month? Because someone mentioned to us that, hey, I'm only going to get paid 25% more if I fly the schedule that I fly.
Wow.
For other people, though, they fly a lot more. And so there might be a lot more opportunity to make money if you stay with the company, if you're, let's say, 58, 59, 60 years of age. But the question is how many trips are you currently flying a month before COVID? Now, during COVID, obviously, there's going to be a time period where no one's going to be flying a lot. But both you and I think we agree that people will be flying again.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, that's right. It depends on a lot of things like your outlook and, will we as pilots be able to go out this year or the next year and fly more than the minimums of about 87, 88, 89 trips a month? Will that be an option? And like you said, if it's not an option, then boy, they're offering 75% of that minimum to get the heck out.
Yeah. Yeah, so, absolutely.
Pretty amazing.
So a couple of other things to just know about the separation is that if you do separate, it's irrevocable. You do have a 7-day chance to make your decision to reverse it. But if you take the package, obviously you're gone. And we think probably the thing that financial planners can bring to the table here is that the next 5 years you're going to be getting paid a certain amount. it's really the out years or the retirement years that we have concern about if people are not set up for retirement.
Exactly.
So you really need to plan more than just the 5 years about taking the separation.
Absolutely.
You really need to plan for your retirement. Maybe that's obvious,
Yeah.
but that's the thing we've seen running some scenarios, Charlie.
Yeah, and I think that you're right, Kevin. It may be obvious, but it's also easily overlooked. Because we lob on to what am I going to make the next 5 years? What does this program offer? But before we get into those details, and maybe that's a good transition to who should be thinking about this. In our opinions, from what we've seen, who is this program right for? What have you seen so far?
Well, I think the first thing is that for captains that no longer feel like flying, this is a great program. And look, everybody knows somebody, and maybe you are that person that you just don't really want to do this anymore, but you suck it up, you're brave, you get into the cockpit, you fly the plane, and you make the money, but it's really not something you want to do anymore. And so this is an opportunity, I think, if you're 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, where if you are able to retire normally at 65 and you can do this and you don't want to fly anymore, that's kind of a good reason to take this, Charlie. What do you think?
Totally agree. And Kevin, from experience, it's not necessarily the flying so much anymore. That's probably the one part that you enjoy. It's everything else around that,
Right.
And we've talked to people already this week, and they've got, hey, look, I've got a terrible commute. Oh, a commute will wear you out. And if you've got a terrible commute, and you're near, that sweet spot of maybe age 60 plus or minus a couple of years, boy, this is a great opportunity to put an end to that pain. And I say that with conviction because I've done it before, and it is pain. So that's something. Somebody said, hey, I can make a lot more money if I don't take this, of course.
Yep.
And of course you could. And then I said, well, do you like flying or not? Do you like your job or not? Yeah, I like going to work. Well, keep going to work. That's a no-brainer, really. But so that's a good option. And then maybe what about the younger sides? Like myself, I'm an FO still. Maybe we just want some time off. Maybe somebody wants to get a college degree. We talked about some of those possibilities. Maybe a little less common, probably, huh?
Right. Well, I think that's possibly one of the gotchas is that we've all been kind of hunkered down. People are thinking about their lives, and a lot of times when you're in this kind of a situation, you think, well, maybe I just want to make a change. So people may say, I'm going to get paid for 5 years and do something different. That could be a gotcha. You may feel differently next year about that. Right. So the extended time off, or the ExTO, gives someone an opportunity to say, look, I want to be off for 2 years, maybe go back to school, but not make an irrevocable decision of actually terminating. Because we've all seen this, especially the guys with the gray hair, that time goes by very fast, and a few years can go by in a heartbeat, and if you do terminate, then you may regret it. I mean, what's your feeling about terminating versus staying on? I mean, you're a first officer, you are a financial planner. What's your own theory? What's your own feelings?
So boy, leaving permanently is scary, no matter what circumstances. I think just is such an irrevocable decision that you just want to make sure everything is right. What's going to happen. So for me, and maybe other FOs or other younger captains that have other things going on, boy, a little break, that's not too bad. It's pretty low risk. I think the biggest challenge for all of us is like, hey, can you do 55 trips a month? That's a pretty easy decision because everything else is the same. You still get to 15% B fund, maybe 16% soon. We don't know yet. You still get to all the healthcare. Nothing else changes. So that's a little easier. Does it work in your personal finances? If you're not near retirement, just want to take a little break, I think that's a pretty cool opportunity. May not apply to a ton of people, but
right. So the people, getting back to the termination, Charlie, who are the people that should not take it?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not telling someone not to do it, but who are the people that may want to consider that maybe it's going to be better to roll the dice and go back to work? Yeah,
I think first the people that like it and they still enjoy going to work. There's a lot, a guy called the other day, hey, I still like going to work. Well, that's cool. That's awesome. Keep going, but I think somebody else or other people that may not want to do this, it's really, if you're mid 50s to late 50s, you need to have your house in order, so to speak. And maybe one of those things, speaking of houses, is house paid off. significant savings to bridge that gap. Maybe, our military retirees, boy, they've got a great advantage because they've got healthcare knocked out. Not a question anymore. Because healthcare is going to be a question for somebody that's 55. They take this voluntary separation, and then they don't have healthcare anymore from 60 to 65. So there's some unknowns there. One of the gotchas that I think you hit on earlier, you hit the nail on the head, is the biggest thing we're seeing is if you retire right now, take the VSP, and you live on, it's about, let's say, $12,500 after federal taxes. It depends on your state, depends on some other things.
And that's for a captain.
Yeah, for a captain.
Senior captain.
The thing that we've seen is, can you save money? It's kind of like a disability scenario. Yeah, let's pretend we can live on 12.5, but am I going to save any money? So now we got to run a retirement scenario, Kevin, where they live on 12.5, maybe a little less, depending on taxes, but they're not saving any money for 5 years, whereas before we had planned on them saving $63,000 a year, probably, maxing out that 415 bucket. So that's the big gotcha, I think.
Yeah, well, I think so too. I mean, we've worked with a lot of pilots that have come to us and said, look, I want to make sure I can retire working until age 65, working until the very end. And we've done a lot of those plans, and now people are coming back and saying, what if I don't work to the very end? And the next 5 years are not the issue. And most of the clients, we have to say that we've run scenarios, they can still do it. But there probably are a lot of pilots out there that maybe were furloughed in their past lives, or maybe just didn't get to save as much money as they wanted. And because of that, they just don't have enough assets. And so running the actual, you run flight simulators, we run retirement plan simulations, and running the simulator to see, all right, 65, maybe even if you do it at 58 and then you have to pay for healthcare for 2 years. If you don't have TRICARE for life, running those scenarios, I think that's the key.
I do too. You hit it. And we've done that several times already. We think it's a really useful exercise just to get some more perspective, help people make a great decision. So this is a decision, Kevin, I think, quite frankly, that is really nice to have someone to refer to help you make this decision. It'd be kind of tough to make, as a pilot, I'm speaking, to not have counsel, to not have someone to bounce this off of or run scenarios. I think that would be challenging. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think other pilots can help, but the thing is that other pilots will bring their own biases. Like I was in the pharmaceutical industry, so if somebody said, I'm thinking about leaving the pharmaceutical industry, I said, yeah, near the end, I didn't really enjoy it that much. Let's do everything we can to help you leave, and that's not the right kind of counsel. What you need is you need to actually run the numbers and think about it a few different times. And the other thing, Charlie, that I think you and I have discovered in going through this process is we've had people that say, I absolutely am going to take the TSP or the separation. And then we said, well, what about considering doing the extended time off and getting paid for a couple of years if you don't, really mind flying again in the future, is that you can, the problem with that, the gotcha there is that they can call you back to work relatively quickly. So expound on that a little bit, Charlie, because we've talked about this, that you take, let's say you go for 5 years and you say, I want extended time off.
Yeah, I just think personally, and again, I feel like I can speak on this because I've lived it and do live it, in that if I have a bad commute, if I'm a little bit worn out, if I'm ready to go, and I say, all right, I'll just take the safe route and do the extended time off for 5 years. I'll get B fund, I'll get health care. Life is great. Well, 3 years into this thing, they call me back, and I may be disappointed. I don't know, but I know one thing. At year 1, I'm wondering, are they going to call me back? At year 1.5, are they going to call me back? At 24 months, are they going to call me back? So I'm thinking about this a lot.
So you're still emotionally invested in the company and in the job, and therefore you're not really, even though you're time off, you're not really pulled away from.
I think that's significant.
The job itself.
I really do, and again, that's just from my experience. But
so the final thing, Charlie, is let's talk a little bit about the financial implications of one versus the other, because again, here was the great surprise for us is that Sometimes the finances, we thought, well, leaving the company, you're going to get a lot more money.
Yeah.
And when we've run the scenarios, that's not quite the case. So,
Mm-hmm.
so talk about the captain who's maybe 58, 59, and the choice between actually leaving and the choice maybe getting extended time
Okay,
off.
yeah, that's a great one, because sometimes we as human beings make decisions versus, it's either an on or an off, VSP or nothing. But let's, broaden the lens here a little bit, and let's look at like you said, the ExTO as well, and compare them. So captain at the top of this pay scale, and we're going to talk gross numbers before taxes, before any deductions, just to keep it simple. 67 trips a month is about $15,980. So compare that to the ExTO, 55 trips a month at the top of the captain pay scale is about 13,117.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. But now you're going to get the NEC, which is now 15%. So you add that on there, and now the ExTO is worth about $15,085 versus the voluntary separation pay, which is $15,980, for about a $900 a month difference. So that's something to think about too.
So the non-elective contribution that will be put into your 401k, you won't receive that money,
Right.
but that's still compensation. When you take the 55 trips a month and then you add that in, that almost comes to the level of the separation. And that, I think, was a big surprise. I mean, if you're over 55, the healthcare will be the same either way. If you stay employed, you'll have healthcare for 5 years. If you don't, if you're younger, though, obviously taking the extended time off, you can keep the health care for years to come. And we'll just tell you this, we were shocked about how much Charlie himself withholds in his health care, or not withholds, but the company pays for his health care.
That's right.
And it's in the young 20s, $20,000.
Yeah, because I looked, what would healthcare cost me and my family? And you told me right off the bat, hey, it's going to be about $2,000 a month. And I was kind of shocked. But I think you're close. It might be as low as $1,500 a month. We don't know. It just depends on a lot of things. But, Kevin, there's tons of stuff we could talk about here. Maybe we'll do a follow-on. But I think people need to think about life insurance as well. Their life insurance, if you separate, is going to go away. Do you still have a life insurance need? And if you're 60, your life insurance goes away, you still have a life insurance need, it's going to be really expensive to replace that. That's just one of the other nuggets there that we've seen come up as well.
Absolutely. So what we would ask you all that are watching is please share this video with other Southwest pilots. If you have questions, please reach out to us. We will answer questions one-off. And again, we can't give our opinion on your situation unless we know you. But if you also want to run a retirement scenario, can you afford to take the TSP? We're happy to do that. And talk about any other needs you have. So we very much appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, and good luck in your decision making.
That's right. Thank you.